Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Good evening and welcome to Ways Primetime. My name is Chioma Kalu, and tonight I want to tell you a little bit of the Nigerians' political landscape, what it's been like, in this past couple of months. So you see, there's been what analysts call Hurricane Tinubu, which is a wave of defections sweeping through opposition parties as key figures cross over to the ruling party, that's the APC. Now, from senators to governors to local party chieftains to the ruling, everybody's just moving, right? The ruling party, they seem to be expanding their reach, while the oppositions, especially the PDP and the Labour Party, struggle to retain their ranks. Now, reports state that these high-profile defections have sparked new fears about Nigeria sliding towards a one-party state, echoing anxieties last seen, in the late 1990s when military-backed political dominance threatened plural democracy. Right, so the APC defends the trend. They said defections are driven by the party's performance under President Tinubu's administration. But critics, right, on their own end, they're arguing that these shifts are more about political survival than conviction, right, with many politicians simply aligning with power for personal gain. So tonight, we were wondering, we're trying to unpack these questions. We're asking, are these defections reshaping democracy or weakening opposition? Now, remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day. Add your voice to the discussions. Head on to YouTube and subscribe at Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, and invite your friends and family to join the show now. When I open the phone lines, I would really love to hear your say on this particular topic. And as always, here is a quote for you to ponder on today. It says, with opposition, democracy is without opposition, democracy is merely an illusion of choice. And this was said by Walter Lippmann. Now, we'll go into this, of course, much later, like we always do. But first of all, I'll go on a break. And when I come back, I'll take you through the news interests I have for the day. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back. These are the following stories that I saw, and I'm like, okay, interesting. The first one I have says, schools in Nigeria charging tuition in dollars and pounds should be shut down. And this was said by Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals. Now, the story has it, and it says, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has called for closure of schools in Nigeria that charge tuition fees in foreign currencies. Now, Alake described the practice of charging in foreign currencies as one of the loopholes affecting the country's economy. He said, I am still going to make a proposal to the Federal Executive Council that all those schools in Nigeria that are charging in foreign currency should be closed. These are some of the leakages and loopholes that we say exist in our economy that people do not really take seriously. Now, he also explained that parents paying in dollars or pounds for schools within Nigeria were putting pressure on the naira. He said, if your child is attending a school in Abuja or Lagos or somewhere in the country and is paying £10,000 or $10,000 as fees, that means you will be looking for naira to go and buy dollars, driving the value of dollar up, whereas this school is in Abuja, in Nigeria. You can't go to the UK, establish a school there, and then be charging in naira. It's not done. I think I share the sentiments with the minister, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. We're trying to help our naira find value, and here you are. You know, it goes beyond schools. I think it further boils down to people that do businesses, fashion designers. I've heard fashion designers that charge in dollars. And I'm wondering, why? We're trying to bring up our naira, and here you are charging in foreign currency. It doesn't make any sense. Like the minister rightly said, it puts pressure on the naira, right? So please, let's do better. And I agree, please, we have to do better. You can charge the naira equivalent of that money as a school owner. It necessarily does not have to be in another currency. Come on. You can't go to the US and you will charge in naira. You won't do that. They won't let you. I mean, it's just tiring how lawless we are in this country. Sometimes we get away with a lot of things. But I really do hope the minister takes this up and then we see it brought to an end, because it's not looking good for the country. Now, on my second story, it says, oh, Nigeria's inflation rate drops for the 6th consecutive time. Interesting. The story says Nigeria's headline inflation dropped to 18.02% in September 2025, coming down from the 20.12% in August. Now, this is the 6th time the headline inflation drops in this year. Now, the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, disclosed this in the Consumer Price Index and inflation data released on Tuesday. They said, the data showed that the country's inflation declined by 0.72% on a month-on-month basis. The CPI data noted that the food inflation rate was minus 1.57% month-on-month. And the report reads that in September, the headline inflation rate eased to 18.02% relative to the August 2025 inflation rate of 20.12%. The MOM headline inflation rate in September 2025 was 0.72%. The food inflation was minus 1.57% MOM. Now, the development comes as the CEO of the finance derivatives company, Bismarck Rewani, in his latest analysis, said Nigeria's inflation would moderate to 18% in November 2025. However, the recent hike in prices of fuel and cooking gas could impact subsequent inflation figures and the cost of living for Nigerians. Anyway, I love that it's dropping. I really love it. I really, really love it. But like I would always say, I hope that this reflects in the lives of everyday Nigerians and the reality of everyday Nigerians. So when we will celebrate this win is when the cost of living drops, is when the prices of things in the market drops. I mean, we're getting to Christmas. And with the way things are going, I'm really scared for families, right? So we celebrate this, but we also want to see it reflect in our daily lives as Nigerians. And to my last story of interest, a very interesting story indeed. It says Tompolo donates 10 billion naira to Delta Security Fund. Now, the chairman of Tantita Security Services, Nigeria Limited, High Chief Government Epe Tompolo, a.k.a. Tompolo, of course, has donated 10 billion naira to Delta State Security Trust Fund. Tompolo announced the donation during the official launch of the trust fund at the government house in Asaba. The governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborowori, top government officials and security heads and community leaders attended the event. The TSSNL chair's donation is said to be one of the largest private contributions to a state security initiative in Nigeria, further solidifying his position as a prominent advocate for stability and development in the Niger Delta region. Now, the Delta State Security Trust Fund is a collaborative effort between the government and the private sector to address security challenges and foster a peaceful environment for growth and progress. This is good. This is really, really good. 10 billion naira is not a joke, right? It's really, 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 really not a joke. So I these in over and hope this the state of security in Delta State. And I hope that other donations like this happening all across the nation is going to be used for what they are said to be used for, right? Don't come and give us initiative and tag it a beautiful name and then nothing is happening. I'm still asking what happened to the 500 million naira that's better I do diverted. Nobody is answering me, but but it's okay. Anyway, that's all the story that caught my interest. I'll go on a short break, and when I come back, we'll dive right into our topic for tonight, and I will introduce my guests for tonight while we'll have a robust conversation. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us tonight, we are talking about what the Punch newspapers titled Hurricane Tinubu. And I saw it was really hilarious. But yeah, I think that's what it is. So we are asking, these recent defections we've seen happen this past few months, with the most recent one, I think, that happened yesterday. We're asking if the defections are reshaping democracy or weakening the opposition parties. So let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending me an SMS or WhatsApp to 0818-038-4663. Now, my phone lines are also open. You can call on 070-2500-7749 and also on 0701-4242-420. Let's hear your thoughts. Now, with the wave of defections across the Nigeria's political scene, we've once again revived a familiar debate. Are we witnessing healthy political realignment? Or is this, is it a quiet emergence of this one-party system in disguise, right? From the cross-carpeting governors and lawmakers to weakened opposition blocs, these signs, raise difficult questions about Nigeria's political future. Is the ruling party's growing dominance a reflection of good governance, or simply a product of patronage and power consolidation? And I remember some months back, the president, while speaking one time at the National Assembly, he said that the rumors that Nigeria is moving towards a one-party state is very unfounded, saying there's no fun in that and he wouldn't want to do that, so we should debunk that mentality. But now, it's very scary that this is what it's looking like. Anyway, to help us unpack these issues, to help us understand these things, I have a public affairs analyst, Professor Simeon Nna, joining me in this conversation. And it's always a delight having Prof on this table. Professor, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Choma. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, I have another analyst, public affairs analyst, Mohammed Abdullahi. Good evening. Are you here with us, Mohammed?
Yeah, good evening.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. So, I mean, you've had the conversation tonight. Defections. I think it was Bayelsa's Diri that moved yesterday and moved with how many lawmakers, from PDP to APC. And I think Bode George was speaking on national television one time, I think yesterday too. He said that it came as a shock. Yeah, I mean, I wonder why they are still shocked. But, Prof, anyways, let me start with you. The Punch newspapers described the recent defections, of course, as Hurricane Tinubu. Do you think this political wave is about ideology, or is it something that has to do with political opportunism? Which is it for you?
Political opportunism. Our politicians, like I call them, you recall, they are not politicians, as far as I'm concerned, don't have any ideology. Now, if you recall, when we started in 1999, this democracy, that's the Third Republic, you will realize that the parties that started that time, namely and ANPP, their constitution was written by almost one man, the late Bola Ige. So it is the ideology of one man that the parties were carrying. And it has, gone through that process up to this moment. You discover that there are no different ideologies. It's just the same people, thinking the same way and coming out with the same thing all together. At the end of the day, they will tell you, we want to do this, we want to do the other one. But you come out to see that they don't have anything different from what the other person is presenting. Now, you called it Hurricane Tinubu. I was discussing with a friend yesterday after the left his political party. Except he has said he has moved over to APC today.
Yeah.
If you are quoting him, what he said, he was resigning from PDP.
Yeah.
He didn't mention where he was going. So at the end of the day, my friend said it was a tsunami. Well, whether it's a hurricane or it's a tsunami, we need to be very careful. Some of us predicted this last year. At least on 2 television stations, I did say that we are heading to a one-party state.
Yeah.
And what informed my comments were the moves made by the president. See, Macron is a proponent of one-party system. Look at all the Francophone countries.
Yeah.
So when he started hobnobbing with him...
Oh, yeah. He visited Macron a lot.
I'm meeting with Patrice Talon. It occurred to me last year that, look, this is what is in the offing. Let me give you a piece of the cake of what happened in the Republic of Benin. The election is coming up next year.
Right.
In their last election, the current president, who is leaving next year, if we will leave, Patrice Talon, what he did was that he called some of his... First of all, immediately he got there, he started driving all the opponents. You either jailed or you will make it to run away from the country by taxes that you can't afford. So at the end of the day, he taxed some of them fraudulent and some of them ran away. He jailed some of them. So during the last election, his last election, he just got 2 of his friends and gave them money to contest against him.
Interesting.
He told them the number of ballot papers, posters that they will print and where they will post their posters. And that was what happened. To make it look to the outside world that there are multi-party contesting the election, but they contested against himself.
Right.
They contested against himself. So it was this trajectory that made me last year say that we are heading towards a one-party state. So what is happening here now, it doesn't shock me. It doesn't surprise me at all, because I saw it coming. as far back as last year, I saw it coming. So, well, the truth is that we need to be very careful. Nigeria is not Cameroon. Nigeria is not Togo. Nigeria is not Republic of Benin. I can tell you for free that one state in Nigeria is bigger than this country is mentioned. So we need to be very careful. It might work in those countries. It might not work here. The challenge will be too much to bear for now.
Okay, let me hear your thoughts, Mohammed. What do you think about these recent defections? What comes to mind when you heard about them?
Yes, good evening, Nigerians. Prof has given a very good background of, but there are just too many issues, actually. The very first thing is the fact that defections, yes, people are allowed to defect according to our constitution, but the same constitution, and I think even the electoral law is very clear about the lawmakers. Now for the governors, they are very free. I think the law didn't state didn't state anything negative concerning perhaps their defection, whether they are resigning from the party that brings them to power or not. But for the lawmakers, the law is very clear, but the shocking thing is that we've been having lawmakers defecting and nothing is happening, which means, our rule of law is very weak. The way we respect our rule of law in Nigeria is very, very weak. Because the law, like I said, is very clear for the lawmaker. If they defect, they must leave that position and go and recontest. For the lawmakers, please, not for the governors. For the governors, the law is not clear. It's very ambiguous. But for the lawmakers, it's very clear. I've read that for any lawmaker to leave his or her position, resign from the party that brings him or her to that position, he or she must also resign from that seat. But like I said, we've not been respecting this. But on a very general note, democracy is a game of population, if I may put it that way. And mind you, when we say population, it might either be right or wrong, whether by hook or by crook. You understand?
Yeah.
So for me, I believe, particularly from the Southeast, if you look at, in fact, it seems even in the entire Southeast now, there used to be an exclusive of perhaps maybe PDP or other parties, or even ABGA, except maybe Abia now, that is maybe Labour Party, right?
Yes.
Or Zenith Labour Party. Or, yeah, the rest, I think, have actually, South, most of them have decamped to PDP.
Yes.
And in my own thinking, I want to believe is a calculation from these governors. If you look at these governors that are decamping, most of them, I would say, are not really big political heavyweights. And what do I mean? For instance, maybe most of them are in their first tenure, they're in their first term, so they are just looking for a kind of confirmation, a kind of acceptance everywhere, and they believe, getting into the fold of the ruling party, the national ruling party now, which is the APC, might as well, to some extent, guarantee them that perhaps even second term. Because, for instance, look at the newest entrant, Governor Mbaha of Enugu State. Very many people know him to be just a businessman. He was not, I don't think he was a commissioner or he was into politics in the recent past. He just came into the politics fray from business and so on and so forth. So, those kind of people might not really understand the political underplay of what they are doing. What they are just looking at is just to, make sure that they have a grip on power. After 2 years, he's feeling or she's feeling that, yes, let me get into the fray of the president. The president seems, I'm just thinking for them now, this president seems to have a kind of popularity in terms of politics. So if I go along with him, you heard what even the governor of Akwa Ibom said when he was decamping. He is PDP, the number 3 man in Nigeria, the former, the Senate president, who is also from Akwa Ibom, is an APC member. So it's a kind of alignment. So why should he be in opposition to a kind of his boss? So like I mentioned earlier, these politicians without thinking of the people that brought them to power and without thinking of, the general interplay of what might result from their own decisions. They are just looking at the fact of consolidating power for themselves and themselves and themselves alone. You understand? So I think this is my own thinking. Immediately I see most of these governors trying to decamp even when they won on the platform of other political parties.
Well, this reminds me of something Adams Oshomole, former governor of Edo State, said one time. He said, once you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. Who remembers that? He said that. So these men, it appears that they are looking for some covering, So, Prof, let me come to you. What do you think these defections reveal about the health of Nigeria's opposition parties? I'm talking about PDP, especially, of course, and Labour Party, because PDP used to be the strongest opposition, but now is just in a sorry state. They live in past glory. In fact, they have supposed members who are still part of the party, but are now working for the present administration. So what do you have to say about their health currently?
Okay. First of all, BDP is an intensive care unit. And I just pray that the right medication will be admitted. Otherwise, we'll be stinging their requiem very soon. That is by the way. Now, like you rightly pointed out, you will discover that I avoided the law and what have you. Yes. Because Nigeria has turned out to be a lawless country. Now, look at what happened in Rivers. All of us were living witnesses. When members of the State Assembly decamped, and the Supreme Court said they didn't decamp. When it was live on television, they are now telling us that it's only the speaker that can announce that people have left the party and their seats have declared vacant. So I don't want to go into law because that would be too messy. That's why I avoided that. Now, from what you said, let me tell you what is transpiring. It started with the Obasanjo regime and the EFCC. Now, when the EFCC came up, what Obasanjo did in his second tenure was, if you don't want to align, they will show you your report card from EFCC. And the next thing that will happen is that you'll be investigated by the EFCC, no matter who you are. Recall that before Oberoweri and the former Okowa moved over to APC, Okowa was being taunted by EFCC for alleged, that's the right word. Yes. For alleged fraud. So at the end of the day, what he did was what you just said. So that his sins will be forgiven him, he moved over to APC. And when that happened, that was when I started seeing the handwriting on the wall. And I said something succinctly in one of the television programs. I said, I see trouble brewing in Delta.
Oh, Delta, okay.
No, in Delta State.
Okay.
And why did I say that? Now, if you will recall, when that defection happened, certain key figures did not come. One of them was Agege, what's his first name again? The former Deputy Senate President, Omar Agege. He didn't show up. Festus Keyamo, the current Minister of Aviation, briefly showed up and went away. And recall that if a governor, a sitting governor, is in a party, he has the offer of first refusal in the primaries before any other person can come in. Oborowore is going for his second term. And Omar Agege wants the governorship seat of Delta. What do you expect that will happen? There will be a clash of titans. And when two elephants fight, it's the grass that will suffer. Right. It's either one will give away for the other and move to another party where we will see solace, or there will be a rough fight, like he said in local palace. Now, coming to the Mba he mentioned, that is a businessman he doesn't quite understand, I don't agree with that. Because Mba is a lawyer. he understands what is going on. Recall that it was alleged that he didn't win the last election.
Yeah.
The election was declared in Abuja instead of in Enugu. So he's afraid that although he's doing well, but he's afraid that since he didn't make it then, he might not make it in the next election. So his best bet is to look for a safe net. That's why he moved over to. So if you are saying because he does not understand, no. If you look at the number of people, former governors that joined him, he must have gone to convince these ones. And with the largesse that is coming out from him, and those ones decided to join him to cross carpet. Now, let's move over to Bayelsa. The Bayelsa man that left yesterday, he tried, Siraki Dixon was on tele, and he said he did not agree that he has called him several times and discussed the issue of this defection, and he said, no, he cannot defect. Not even now, when President Jonathan, that was one of those that this country has favored as a former vice president, a former president, wants to come out to contest, that this is not the time for him to, leave the party that has brought him up to another political party. So that tells me equally that in Bayelsa, there's going to be a fight to finish. And don't forget, too, that why he did not declare that he was going to APC yesterday was that APC people have refused to receive him. If you have been following the trajectory in Bayelsa, this man, the Minister of, what's it again? Minister of State for Petroleum, that is holding swear as the highest ranking political official in Bayelsa, is not in good terms with him. Timmy Prayer, Silver. So you discover that there's that disconnect. And when the time for election, I don't know what he's looking for, because this is second term. He's not going for a third time. Maybe he wants to go to the Senate, because Senate have now become a holiday or a sit-tight this one for former governors. I don't know why former governors, when they now finish, they now go to Senate to be sleeping, because most of them just sleep their time away in the Senate without making any meaningful contribution.
I mean, you rightly said, sometimes it feels like the Senate is more like a retirement plan for these people, and it's really sad. It's really sad. Also, when you mentioned Okowa and the alleged fraud that he was being investigated for, and how he has moved to APC, and now nobody remembers that he was being, investigated. It reminded me of Yahaya Bello, also the former governor of Kogi State, who EFCC have been chasing. And I mean, they told us they're chasing this man because of the alleged fraud and all of that as well. But till date, nothing has been done about Yahaya Bello. He's still working. He's still working around free. In fact, he even has the immunity of Ododo, the present governor of Kogi State. So these things are it makes sense when Oshomole said, oh, your sins are forgiven, because that's what we're seeing. Better I reduce 500 million. We've still not seen the money yet. Nothing is done. Anyway, before we go to the next question, we'll take a short break. And when we come back, I'll come to you, Mohammed. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about this recent defection. We just saw Bayelsa State Governor defect yesterday from PDP. We saw Peter Mbao a couple of days ago also, Enugu State Governor, moving as well. So I have two incredible public affairs analysts with me. I have Professor Simeon Mba and I have Mohammed Abdullahi, helping us unpack this whole situation. Gentlemen, are you still with me, please? Prof?
Yeah, I'm still here,
Yes,
but
I'm
you're
very
giving
much
me a
prepared.
death
Oh,
sentence.
amazing.
I'm
Amazing.
still on my
I'm here.
serial
Yeah.
number.
Let me come to serial number, yes, please. All right. So let me come to you, Mohammed, right? Some of these people argue that these defections are as a result of, the opposition parties failing to provide credible alternatives, or maybe internal instabilities, like, we're seeing a Labour Party having factions and all. We're seeing in PDP not being able to call themselves to order and put their house together. And some people say these are the reasons people are moving, right? To what extent is this true?
Yes, all over the world, politicians have one thing in common. They want to win, and they want to continue to dominate. Yes, it's not peculiar to Nigeria and Nigerians and Nigerian politicians at all, So, but what is very peculiar to us is that our politicians have very flimsy and very, very flimsy excuses just to move. But to come back to what you mentioned, yes, if you look at the instabilities in the ruling parties, the instabilities in
the opposition parties.
in the opposition party, yeah, it's actually a reason, genuine enough, if it is in the interest of the people, truly. Because, for instance, it beats human logic that, for instance, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, is still a PDP member. It beats every logic, seriously. Because if the PDP is not in government of national unity with the ruling APC, or they gave him an exclusive right from the party to say, okay, you can go ahead and be part of the government. It's shocking that he's part of the government, is working for APC, and is claiming to be a member of PDP. You understand? So it means the house is divisive, is divided.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
That on its own makes it very, very almost unrealistic and impossible for PDP to clinch, to get to power. Because you have your member, a very strong member, not just any member at all, a member who contested for a presidential candidate, candidate of your presidential aspirant in your own party, and now is working for the opposition. And you have them all over like that. You understand? So it's enough, even like I said earlier, if it is genuinely in the interest of the people. But you and I know, and every Nigerian out there who is listening and watching sincerely knows that it is actually not for the interest of the people that these politicians decamp. That is just the problem. You understand? But like I said, because of the rancor in the opposition party, is actually very challenging for you to be in the opposition today, for you to challenge the ruling party. You understand?
Yes.
So I think, in my own little understanding, I don't know why, for instance, Nyesom Wike is bigger than the party, because everywhere all over the world, if such things happen, they expunge him. They allow him to leave the party.
Exactly.
You understand? But for him to be, for instance, outside the party and wielding such control over the party, realistically, like Prof said, PDP is almost dying. In fact, I disagree that PDP is the main opposition party. Seriously, they might have more governors.
That's why
or
I
even
said
more,
they are living in past glory now.
Members. Yes. But even the Labour Party is showing more opposition by far than the PDP. You understand? So what is actually important is that, or what should we should be asking is, are these politicians living because of the interest of the people? The answer is capital no.
Of course not.
Because they are just calculating. For instance, like the governors that are living, if it's a first-time governor like Umba, I think Prof misunderstood me there when I said he was not into really his politics. I meant he doesn't have a political background, a structure as such. But we are saying same thing, that he is scared that he might not
be given a chance to return
for a second time. Yeah. Even though he's actually doing well to some of the things
to an extent, yes,
seen on TV and everywhere to an extent. But he's also scared because he's scared because he doesn't really have a great political structure. So he had to leave to a party that he feels, okay, even if he doesn't have this structure. There is a national structure out there that can support him. And for those who are in their second tenure, it's simple. We have said it all here, that they just want to go to the National Assembly as a retirement place. You know, and so that is why they are also decamping, you know. But again, the opposition must put its house in order, because if you ask all of these politicians that are decamping, they will tell you simply because their house is not in order. And in some instance, they have a right to decamp. The Nigerian Constitution allows us to freely associate.
You know, I didn't want to mention Nyesom Wike because, because the guy seemed to have PDP. He's gripping them by the neck. And these people don't seem to know what they are doing or what to do with him. Because, you know, he made a statement, I think yesterday, and he was bragging and saying, oh, those that insulted me for working for this administration, they are now the ones decamping. You know, when I looked at it, I just laughed because PDP at this point seemed very helpless. This man would, you know, lock up your convention center. This man would tell you you're owing rent. You're not doing anything to this man. Are there no, I've asked before, are there no disciplinary measures to actually call these people to order? And, you know, it's really a slap on their faces because he is still a member of the party. You know, it's more like he telling them, do your worst, right? Anyway, let me come to you, Prof. Now that we've seen these things happening like this, in democratic terms, what dangers do you think lie in a system where one party becomes, you know, overwhelmingly dominant in a nation?
The danger is that the leader of the political party becomes a dictator.
Okay.
And let me say this succinctly. You see, what we are seeing in the opposition political parties are the hands of Esau and the voice of Jacob. You see, I can prove that to you. Although they have denied it in various fora. But look at it from this point of view. When the opposition now came together and said they are going to use SDP as their rallying point, SDP started having problems. They left SDP and went to ADC. ADC started having problems. They started going to court and here and there. And they are telling us that the last time they knew about ADC was the ADC that crashed. They have forgotten that equally, the last time some of us knew APC was when it was battling with Alabuku powder to cure headache. Maybe they have forgotten that. They need to be reminded. So, at the end of the day, you now discover, if you look at the parties, you said the only opposition we have now is Labour. Labour is a one-man riot squad. It's a one-man opposition party. Because if you discover what has been happening, I don't want to mention names, but I will here. You saw Arab and B move over to Apapa to form an opposition against Labour. And when that one is not working, he has moved over again to the current chairman that they just deposed. What's his name again? You see the way he's moving, and all he's doing is fermenting trouble. And that trouble he's fermenting is coming from somewhere. Somebody is backing him. Somebody is backing him. That's why he's fermenting all those trouble. He has left Apapa now. He has moved over to what's the chairman that this woman is replacing now. That two of them are fighting in court. So that's what is actually going on. You see, it is somebody that is fueling the crisis in this party. For Wike and PDP, you see, they got it wrong. That time he joined APC and they removed, or joined the APC government and they refused to remove him.
Exactly.
Because, of course, they say who pays the piper dictates the tone.
Yes.
He was the highest spender in PDP. He brought most of their chairmen. He brought most of their chairmen. And those chairmen have been causing problems for the party.
Right. From
the former governor of Borno State to his brother, to this one that is here now. He's the person that's even the one that caused problem during the last election. That he said to step down. It was equally Wicked that brought him. So you see, he has brought in 4 chairmen to the party. So the question you have been asking yourself is, this person, why is he the person that's bringing this people? Because he was the highest spender. Recall there was a time he said, if the convention is not held in Rivers, it will not hold.
Yes.
And they allowed it. And they allowed mandate, and the convention was held in Rivers. And you know what happens when a political bigwig says, I want convention to be held in my state, we'll be following the trajectory.
Yes.
Definitely, whosoever he supports wins that election. In that of Wike, he supported Article 1. In that of the current president now, when he insisted the convention of APC will be held in Lagos, he supported Buhari, and Buhari won. So we know what is going, we know what plays out, because all the hotels will be booked by them, so that the other people will not have where to put their own candidates. That's what plays out. Except we want to play to the gallery. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what it is. So at the end of the day, politicians don't learn anything, because if they do, they would have asked themselves what happened in 1983. Because this was exactly the same thing Shehu Shagari did. He was claiming even areas he did not win. I recall what happened in the current, okay, it was Imo State there, we didn't have Abia. It has to take the ingenuity of one of the elder statesmen then to walk into Fedeco office. What we had there was Fedeco. Carried the Arabic Okafor, checked the ballot box, and went to ITV and IBC. And the late Sam Bakwe announced the result himself. Being a lawyer, after announcing the result, he went back the following day and apologized using the same media, because that's what the law says. And at the end of the day, he was set free. So we have seen this thing play out. Now, if politicians learn anything, that trajectory in 1983 is trying to play back.
Right.
And I don't want to say how it ended. The answer is blowing in the wind.
All right, Prof. All right. I mean, we have to wrap up now, but in 1 minute for each of you, what do you think is the role of INEC in all of these things to ensure that we are not monopolized, you know, when it comes to democracy? Let me start with you, Mohammed, please. 1 minute. Mohammed?
Okay, yeah. I didn't get that question again.
Oh, I said, what is the role? What do you think is the role of INEC?
Yes.
You know, to ensure that democracy remains competitive and not monopolized.
I think it's important that INEC stays very neutral. We've been having very challenging elections in the past. We've been having very challenging elections in the past, so hopefully INEC will stay very, very neutral and apply the rules as they are enshrined in their own rule book and even in the Constitution of Nigeria. It's very important. But again, you know, it's worrisome again to some extent the process of appointing the chairman of the electoral institution in Nigeria. It's a bit worrisome because, you know, gives just the president the prerogative, the whole power to appoint. We are all humans, you know. For someone who does a favor, I mean, who do you a favor, we are humans that you just might want to return that favor, no matter how hard it seems. I'm not insinuating anything, but I think it is high time that perhaps we as Nigerians call up our representatives, I mean, in Abuja, to talk about particularly the office of the INEC chairman, how to review that it will involve a different play from what it is now. That is just the president that will just handpick somebody and then the National Assembly will ratify. You know, because like I mentioned earlier, it's a bit worrisome. But besides that, hopefully the incoming electoral chairman is a lawyer, a senior advocate for that matter, a teacher, someone who, from his name, Amukpiton, you know, it's someone who, it translates to someone who will make history. That's what his name translates to.
We really hope he does.
You know, so hope, yes. Yes, that's what did it. But you know, when you say history, there are negative histories as well. So you don't want that. So I hope, you know, yes, hopefully his name will translate to positive history in 2027 for Nigeria to conduct at least a very fair election in this dispensation, because the last time I know we've conducted something that is called a free and fair election was since 1993. You know, we've been very shocked. You know, so hopefully INEC will be able to stay very neutral and do what is needful to create a level playing ground for every party.
Thank you, Mohammed. Prof, in 1 minute, what do you think INEC should do? 1 minute, Prof.
I don't envy the new INEC chairman. What they should do is cut out for them from the name Independent National Electoral Commission. They should be independent. But how can you be independent when somebody single-handedly picked you,
right,
and asked the National Assembly to rubber stamp you? So how can you be independent? That's the problem. Again, now, if you look at what I say, I don't envy him, is that the Electoral Act, the National Assembly is still tinkering with it. And we're here in grapevines that the election might come up in November 2026. Now, if that happens, the guy have no time to prepare for this election. So that's why I say I don't envy him. The National Assembly should please do what they can do to come out with these electoral acts. Let us know what it is. Let them have it at a good time. He did say some of these things when he was, I don't know whether it was a certain speech or when he was talking to the National Assembly. You know, these things are key to what will happen next. Because if by now those things are not there, I don't know when he's going to prepare his budget. I don't know when it's, well, he said it's an envelope budget. So it means that whatever is there will just be transported to the new place. So from that point of view, maybe they have calculated what is going to happen in 2026. But recall in the last election, there had to be another supplementary bill of about 1.something billion again, added to the one they had. So I don't know how he's going to do the magic.
All right.
But I pray that he will be able to at least change the trajectory. That would be that would be a tall order.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you for your great insights, and we hope to bring you back again. So, to my dear viewers, we've seen that in every democracy, opposition is not an enemy. It's a mirror, and it keeps power in check, demanding answers and reminding leaders that no one party, owns the nation. Defection may be a part of politics, but when it becomes a flood, they can wash away the very diversity that keeps democracy alive. And Nigeria's future depends on more than party victories. It depends on balance, integrity, and courage of citizens to defend fair elections. Anyway, this is where we draw the curtain tonight. And if you missed my quote earlier, here it is. It says, without opposition, democracy is merely an illusion of choice. And this was said by Walter Lippmann. My name is Chioma Kalu, and this has been Ways Prime Time. Do have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.